Okay, so you may know the Hebrew alphabet, but do you know how to write the Hebrew alphabet? That's what this video is about. So I write the Aleph like this. Now I had a Hebrew professor who suggested you might just do an X, but I prefer to do it a little bit more like the printed version. The way I write the bet is like this. That looks actually like the resh, as we'll see, the R, but then you've got this little thing at the bottom, so it's kind of like a little hangman. And if it's bet, then you've got the dot, the dagesh in the middle. If it's vet, then it doesn't, if it's the V sound. So the gimel, I write like this, kind of down like that, and then give it a leg. So it's like a little man walking. I'm walking, la-da-da-da-da-da, I'm talking, you know, and he's good. See, there's the head, goes down, and give him a leg. And that's gimel, Aleph, bet, gimel. The dalet, I would write like this. Kind of go like this, and then down. It's, again, similar to the resh, but the tittle's important. Remember, jots and tittles. The little things matter, especially with Hebrew letters. And so that little overhang there is very important for the dalet. Dalet can also have a dagesh or not a dagesh, but I don't distinguish my pronunciation between those two. It used to be a duh and a the, but we'll write them both like this, and then sometimes there'll be a dot, and sometimes there won't be, and pronounce them the same for this class. So, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet. So the hey, you could start off like a dalet, but I tend to do it like that, and then draw another line down. That's hey, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, hey. So the Vav, I really almost like a straight line down. That's how I do the Vav. You know, whether you want to have something at the top or not, you don't have to, but that's the way I do it. Vav. It used to be pronounced wow. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin. So the way I would write a Zayin is a little hat at the top and then a line down, and that's Zayin. Z. The Kate, I would write a lot like the Hey, so it's very much like the Hey, except the Hey is not connected. The Chait is connected. So you can see how these little details are important. That's a ch, a chait, transliterated as an H with a dot under it, as opposed to the hey, h, which doesn't have a dot under it. So Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet. Next is Tet. And here's the way I do a Tet. Kind of like a U, and then it curves back in on itself. Chet. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet. Yod is easy. Just a little apostrophe almost there at the top. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yod. So the next one is Kaf. And the problem with Kaf is that it has both an initial form, which we're going to write just like a, I don't know, maybe a magnet, you know. That's the initial or in the middle of a word. But then we have the Kaf at the end of a word, and you just grab the bottom and pull it down, right? So here's the final Kaf. It's the final Kaf down. Anyway, so there is the final Kaf when it's the last letter. Sometimes there's a shavah, 2 dots in the middle of that. But this is the initial middle Kaf and the final Kaf. And that's Kaf. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yod, Kaf. Lamed. Remember, Lamed is the one that goes above the line. It's got an Elvis hat on it. Lamed, the L one. These next two, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, are KLMN. Mem also has 2 different forms. It's got the form of the mem when it's at the beginning or middle of a word. It's kind of like a Viking helmet. Da, 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 da. At the end of a word, it's kind of like just a square. So final mem's like a square, initial or middle mem is like a Viking helmet. Nun also has an initial and final form. The initial nun, it looks a little like a vav. Be sure and put this bottom bit so you don't confuse it with the vav. And then you grab it and pull down for the final nun at the end of a word. So initial, middle nun, final nun. Aleph, bet, gimel, dalet, hey, vav, zayin, kate, tate, yod, kaf, lamed, mem, nun, samik. Samik is like a apple with a flick. A little flick there, kind of like my hair. So that's a samik, an S. I do ayin a little bit like an exaggerated Y. That's ayin. Pei is another one with a one form for the beginning of a word, kind of like a round and round we go, and where we stop nobody will know. That's the pei. And then again for the final form, you grab a hold, pull it down, and what do you get? A final pei. So initial, middle, final pei. Tzadeh, TS sound. So the way I write the first or middle tzadeh is kind of like this. So it's like, I don't know how you would describe it. It's kind of fun. Then if you want to do the final tzadeh, this is the last one with a different final form. You grab the bottom, pull it down, and you get something like this. So that's initial, middle tzadeh, and final tzadeh. Kof is the next letter. Kof is the only letter that comes below the line in its normal form, and it's transliterated as a Q, kof. If you want to, you could also just do it like that if you wanted to, but probably this form is preferred, kof. Finally, the resh. I've mentioned the resh a couple times. It looks a little like the dalet, except it doesn't have a sharp corner. It looks like the beginning of a beit, but it doesn't have the bottom part. Resh, R. The next two letters are built on a pitchfork. In fact, are they different letters or are they the same letter? If you put the dot up here, it's sheen. If you put the dot over there, it's seen. So sheen, seen. Aleph, bet, gimel, dalet, hey, vav, zayin, chet, tet, yod, kaf, lamed, mem, nun, samik, ayin, pei, tzadeh, kof, resh, sheen, seen, tav. The final letter of the Hebrew alphabet is tav. Looks a little like a chet, doesn't it? Except it has this little overhang at the bottom. So a lot of the Hebrew letters look similar. You just have to know the little tittles, the little corners and things that make them different.